Welcome on into the TheChokeholdHour UFC 304. Approaching slowly but surely. This Saturday it will take place, and we've already discussed the main event, the co-main event. I think it's going to be a UK sweep. And Leon Edwards and Tommy Aspinall himself, the hometown kid, will take home the belt at 304. But in this video, we're going to talk about a fight that's maybe a little bit harder to break down and analyze because of the question marks surrounding it. First of all, one of the fighters has had a plethora of cancellations in his career, and we have not really seen his fullest potential shown in the octagon yet. And also, this fight, originally slotted for the main card, guys, was bumped down to the prelims and then moved down once again to the early prelims, and it just doesn't really make sense. It's Mokaev versus Manel Kape at the flyweight division, and guys, this fight really should certainly be a title eliminator. If you look at the flyweight division and the makings of it right now, Alexandre Pantoja, the current champion, has really just lapped the division at this point. You got Brandon Royval, Brandon Moreno, Kai Kara France. Steve Erceg. He's beaten everybody. He's beaten all of the top-level competition, so who do you give him next? If not the winner of this fight. It doesn't really... He did actually already beat Manel Kape, but this was a long time ago. I believe it was 2020, and both fighters have significantly improved since then. But yeah, who do you give to Pantoja if not the winner of this fight? And a title eliminator, even on a pay-per-view, is sometimes given that co-main event slot. And this weekend, it's on the early prelims. Why? There's a lot of speculation around Manel Kape. He's massive for a flyweight. And he has trouble making weight sometimes. He's missed weight twice in his career already. He has a really difficult time getting to that 125-pound marker. And some people think that could be a reason for why the fight is being moved down. Maybe Manel Kape is having a bad cut. I'm not so convinced on that. Not 100% sure, but Muhammad Mokaev actually came out and said he believes the fight is being moved down because the UFC doesn't like his style of fighting. And that's why this fight is so important for him. He needs to prove that he is more than just, a Marab. Shooting 20 takedowns, only landing a couple of them and controlling your way to a decision victory, because that's exactly what he did in his last fight. So first, let's just talk about Muhammad Mokaev. He's 6-0 in the UFC. He has 4 submissions and 2 decisions, but his submissions come against relatively low-level competition, and every time I watch him fight, guys, I'm not as impressed as I feel I should be for someone who's supposed to be the next big thing in this specific division. His grappling is great, of course. He has incredible cardio. If you're shooting... In his last fight, he literally, against Alex Perez, he won. He shot 20 takedowns, only landed 3 of them. Your cardio has to be good if you're shooting 20 takedowns, but 3 for 20 is a pretty horrendous landing rate, and I'm not sold on his ability to stand with elite-level strikers on the feet. Every time I watch him fight, I see a Dagestani who is obviously a good wrestler, but I see someone who has an incomplete martial arts game. His skill set he has not yet reached a level where I am sold that he can be a championship fighter. If you put him in there against Pantoja, a great grappler, I'm just not sure what his game plan exactly would be. This guy, he's still, I'm not saying he's not a very talented fighter. 23-0 in the amateurs, 6-0 in the UFC. Very well could be next for the title if he wins. But once again, I'm just not sold on the fact that he is complete. Because his striking, he doesn't do much. He's not very active on the feet, at least in his recent couple of fights. Of course, in the beginning of his career, he had that flying knee, and that was pretty nasty. So he's shown flashes of entertainment, but it's really been capped at flashes, and that's about it. Now, Manel Kape, he's 4-2 in the UFC. Actually lost to some pretty steep competition to start his career. I talked about Alexandre Pantoja beating him, and then he lost to Nicolau in his second UFC fight. So 2 ranked fighters back-to-back to start off his career. At least the guy's willing and ready to fight anywhere at any time and is able to take on the highest level of competition. But yeah, we talked about it already. Guys, 7 cancellations in his career. 2 were his fault, but 5 were not. So although he has trouble getting to that 125-pound marker, he's definitely seen quite a few road bumps in his road to the top of the flyweight division. I'm not really sure 100% on what Manel Kape can do against high-level competition because, the last guy he fought, it was literally his UFC debut. It was supposed to be Kai Kara-France. KKF pulled out, and the UFC had to scramble and find a replacement from there. He trains at Extreme Couture, so he's got, high-level guys surrounding him. Sean Strickland, Curtis, Dan Ige, Francis Ngannou, all these guys. And he's a great striker. I think Manel Kape is a very, very talented mixed martial artist. I've been sold on him ever since he landed that nasty knee against Odie Osborne in the beginning part of his career after those two losses. And he literally took Odie's head off. He obliterated him. And it was just a beautiful explosion. The technique was there, but the explosion was significant. And that's what I think Manel Kape's path to victory is in this fight. He is the best. He certainly has an advantage on the feet. Now, his grappling hasn't really been tested in his career. His most significant win, it's David Dvorak. I think he got taken down once in that fight. But outside of that, it's just, we haven't really seen Manel Kape in the grappling exchanges. So I'm not sure how he's going to be able to handle a guy like Muhammad Mokaev, who brings such a grappling-heavy style and is consistently shooting takedowns. If Manel Kape can stuff said takedowns, though, I would be willing to bet on him winning this fight by knockout. But that's a big if, guys. His one path to victory, it's explosion. So we talked about the flying knee. His movement, when he landed that flying knee, it was so fluid, it was so pure, and it was so quick. He's a very twitchy athlete. He's a fighter who, his technique on the feet is great, but he's one of those guys, he's also just an incredible athlete. You see the way he strikes and moves and puts together combinations. He is more than just a fighter. I feel like this guy could have played a multitude of sports and succeeded because of his twitchiness. Being a twitchy athlete can get you to the high level in a lot of sports, and I think that's what Manel Kape is. So if he can put together combinations, keep this fight on the feet, and explode at Muhammad Mokaev, overwhelm him, prevent him from shooting a plethora of takedowns, then maybe Manel Kape can get it done. And if you want to make real money, you want to sprinkle a little something on Kape by knockout, I wouldn't complain. But then again, it's not the safe bet. Muhammad Mokaev, typically when a fighter shoots 20 takedowns, they win the fight. So Manel Kape really has to keep this fight standing for all 15 minutes if he wants even a chance at beating Mokaev. Muhammad Mokaev makes things grimy. It's not always the most entertaining thing to watch. It's not. But that seems to be the tale of MMA today, guys. There are a lot of successful fighters who just shoot takedowns and rise to the top. Look at Bilal Muhammad. He's not a fan favorite because of his style. He's finally getting that title shot, though, because his resume was undeniable. He beat a lot of good guys because they just could not keep up with him on the ground. Muhammad Mokaev seems to be of a similar sorts. Of a similar breed. He is a wrestler, grappler through and through. And yes, Manel Kape has that twitchy athletic ability. So if you're going to bet on Manel Kape, I would take it by knockout. I would take him to win this fight by knockout, because if this fight does go the distance, Muhammad Mokaev will certainly be the winner. And if you want to play safe money, your safe money is going to go on Muhammad Mokaev's money line, because when you shoot 20 takedowns, like I said, you win fights. Give me Muhammad Mokaev to win this one, as sad as it is to say for me. I'm a big Manel Kape fan. I just don't know if he's going to be able to handle the wrestling of Muhammad Mokaev, the Dagestani.